Coming to you from Little Rock, Arkansas, welcome to Sips on the Rock with Legacy Wine and Spirits. Join hosts and store owners Johnny Akins and David Bevins, along with product expert extraordinaire Jake Dell, as we chat about booze, news, and other happenings in the wide world of wine and spirits. Now, let's get to sipping.
Welcome, folks. Hello. You'll notice Johnny is not here. I'm in the driver's seat today, and we are joined by Leah. So we're going to talk beer all day.
Since Leah's here, we're going to talk beer.
That's right.
Is this the second episode that Johnny's not been on?
Yeah, it is. And still, I am the only one that has made every episode. So far. You're reigning champion.
Wow.
You're reigning champion.
Gold star.
I'm coming for you.
Did you hear that? Jake's going to sabotage me.
So, let's dive in.
Beer is here.
Lots of beer.
So, let's first start out by talking about what a Cicerone is.
A Cicerone, which I am one of a handful in Arkansas of the level certified Cicerone, which is the only one that counts. They're an educational, organization that is basically, for all intents and purposes, we always say, for somebody who doesn't know what that word is, it's the sommelier of the beer world. And, there's tests you take at each level. The first one is an online, 75 question quiz.
And it was all multiple choice, right?
Right.
It was no fill in the blank.
It was pretty easy.
That's the beer server
That's
level.
to be a certified beer server, which you are one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then if you study real hard, like a good boy or girl, and figure out a national testing, not center, but where one's happening, because they'll have people flying all around and doing them everywhere. You show up in person, and that test is harder by a whole heck of a lot, because there's multiple choice, fill in the blank, how tests are. There's essays.
There's essay questions.
Right. Where you have to talk about food pairings, and then you turn around and there's a tasting portion where they give you beers that might have brewing faults in them, or identify the style and what's wrong with this one. Is there something wrong with this one? And really get you overthinking things,
questioning yourself.
Right. It's the most fun test to study for that I've ever taken.
Right.
So it was hard, but it was fun to study for.
Homework's hard.
Because when Jimmy, who used to be here, he's also certified Cicerone. We had nights where we would, have a bunch of beers on the table and trying to trick each other, or, hey, we got an extra hour. Let's go down to the saucer and I'll order your beer and you order mine, and we'll try to guess what it is. And,
that's fun.
Yeah.
That does sound like a lot of fun. I think that I could pass the beer server.
I know you could. Yeah.
Just who's got the time?
Yeah.
It's a crazy. Yeah,
definitly not this time of year. We
right.
don't have
not this time of year. Don't have time for anything this time of year. In fact, that's why Johnny's not here. He is here in the building. He's just over there slaving away at his desk to make sure that we keep our staff happy and paid.
Which is also extra important this time of year.
Right. So I was asking staff the other day, and Leah has a goal for the coming year.
Oh yeah, I've been studying for it.
Yeah. To get the level 2.
I printed off the sample test to try to. I wanted to judge my baseline accuracy, but also I timed myself because it's timed, right? Mm-hmm. You only have so much time to complete it. So I also wanted to see how long it took me to do it, just working at my own pace.
Right. That's smart.
So, and I still don't know what my accuracy is because I'm going through and I'm trying to find the answers. And some of them, the way they word the question is so specific that really only certain people would know the answer.
Yeah.
It's hard to just put that in the Google machine and come out with the right answer.
Yeah. Certain learned people.
Like I said, it's not an easy test. And I remember Jimmy and I getting done. We took it together and we were talking about it. What did you get for that one? I don't know. It's so weird and specific. Like you said, but you have to know about draft line systems and every aspect of the beer industry. is covered, from brewing, packaging, selling it. They have some stuff about distributors and 3-tier system in there, and then
taxes.
Of course, yeah. And then of course the tasting and the flavors and aromas and ingredients and all that good stuff.
Well, so there you go, folks. We have the most educated beer staff on the planet.
And it shows.
But beer's fun, so let's start talking about some.
Let's talk about beer.
Who wants to jump off with a style?
Why don't you
Pick
go
a
ahead?
style, any style.
Why don't you go ahead?
Just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. Here, let me jump on a bandwagon or on a little soapbox too. So I'm really excited that lambics are back. It's a nice little fun seasonal thing, but also this is what I drank before I drank regular beers.
Right.
People kept trying to push pilsners and lagers on me. That was not what I was into.
So we've talked about before that sometimes seems to be like the general consensus of, start with light lagers and pilsners if you're breaking into the beer world.
And it wasn't working out for me. I really liked lambics. And so the first time I ever tried a sour, I was hooked, and then I started exploring more. So
there's something
I'm really
out there
excited
for
about
everybody.
these things.
Well, sours, back when we had the growler bar in place, it was really cool to get different people's opinions and reactions. People that don't typically gravitate towards beer, you get your Sauvignon Blanc drinker, and that person might really have a palate for sours,
right?
Because of that, bright tartness,
flavors they're used to.
right?
Well, that wine that you all hated, I like it because to me it reminds me of like a funky sour beer.
No
Right.
one hated it.
Yeah,
well,
we didn't hate it.
We
didn't hate it.
Didn't know what the hell we were drinking.
Yeah.
That was my initial reaction to that. Was I was like, is there supposed to be some farmhouse?
Right.
Because there totally was. Yeah. And we didn't know. Again, we were like trying Lambrusco for the first time either ever or in like 15 years for everybody. And that one is supposed to be nicer and a little more complex than Reuniti.
Well, and, we didn't know. We were in such a scramble to get something in. We didn't know what the heck we got in.
Right.
And it was a unfiltered.
Right. Unrefined,
Brusco.
au natural.
So, it didn't drink like your normal everyday wine in
fruity,
general.
sweet wine like we thought we were getting.
It was funky and I liked it.
Yeah.
Funky drink. So, okay. Sours. I mean, a lambic's not a sour, though, right? It's just
yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
That's I guess, we've spoken before. I mean, I don't really have the sour palate. I can do tarts, and some of them I like, but
lighter end of the sour spectrum.
Right.
Sea quench, dogfish head.
Well, do you like stuff like this that's more of a dessert sour
Pastry.
that has like
we
the
have
pastry?
we have not tried that one yet.
Well, but like the 450 North. You had some of those.
I've had some of those that were.
And
did you like them better?
Pretty good,
or
right?
No?
Yeah.
So you don't like the acidic sour. You like the just a little tartness,
right?
And then especially when blended in with, you see stuff like lactose, vanilla, to make your key lime pie sour, or your apple cobbler sour, what have you.
Like sequence, I can get all up in a sequence.
So this one from Social Project Brewing out of Arkansas is a blueberry cobbler sour. So it's blueberry, and it says graham, cinnamon, vanilla beans, lactose.
Sounds like a pie.
Sounds pretty good.
Well,
should we open one?
Should we open one? Should we do it?
What the hey? So I see that we're still getting Celebration in stock, which is Sierra Nevada's Christmas IPA. Very good stuff. One of my favorites every year. But I don't think that in the past we've gotten quite the supply of this, like a readily supply. It's been like one drop and done before.
Mm-hmm. We got our big drop at the beginning, but so far it's been still available and people are still buying it.
Because the last couple years, it's like we have been on a strict order what you want, and that's all you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even get that.
Right.
And
it's still like that with some stuff.
Yeah, of course. Which it's good to see Celebration is available in large quantities.
Speaking of, I still have on tap at the house for the Christmas party this weekend. Footnote, we will be closing early Saturday night at 8:00 so that we can get out and
that this will air after the party. Is that what he's saying?
yeah.
Disregard
again for those that,
for everybody
that watch
watching
us
live.
in the future. Disregard that footnote.
Well, take a sip. What do you think? I think you'll be on the fence about this one. I like the vanilla and lactose on the finish. It softens it up. But it's still...
It's still really sour.
Out of 10, yeah. What would you put the sour level? Solid 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, see.
Like right
like
there,
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still really sour.
This is still more of a
flavor,
sour.
though.
Yeah.
I definitely get the graham pie-iness.
Yeah.
Of it.
Are you getting cinnamon too? I'm not gonna love cinnamon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still like, getting that salivation gush.
Right.
I had a beer over the last weekend that I got from Other Half and Jay Wakefield, this beer that we can't get here. I don't want to promote the breweries acting like you can come get it here, but it was maple bourbon barrel aged, and it had bananas, cinnamon, almonds, cacao nibs, vanilla, coconut, and toasted coconut. It was about the biggest description of adjuncts in any beer
Was it good?
I've ever had. It was good. And I don't really love banana stuff, and the banana was pretty subtle compared to some of the other. But that one, cinnamon was dominating some of these flavors a little bit. But it was interesting. One of those beers that's fun to sip with 3 other people and kind of dissect it.
That is a crazy adjunct.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it was
what is not in that beer?
Right. Anyway.
So yeah, no, that's really, really tasty. Actually, it's not like some of those sours I've had before, where it's like, this is supposed to taste like that.
Yeah,
it's like this wasn't an accident. No, yeah, I mean, very fruity, pie-y.
And I go through phases. I feel like a lot of people do. And there was a while I was sour. Anything I could get my hands on. From the light to the distills, that dark green distill was like paint thinner. And still, it was so good unless you let it warm up. And like the last sip was warm and then sat there and it's like, oh my God. But now I'm kind of off them for a while. It's fun to kind of get away from a style and let your taste buds reset to some degree and drink some lighter stuff. And that's why seasonal beer drinking can have a purpose and why it makes sense to do.
Right.
Because if you just drink those super sour beers all the time, all year,
right,
I imagine you start getting some stomach problems.
Just send your palate off.
Yeah.
Well, and there's so many styles to choose from, and like subcategories and like offshoots. Collaborations.
The beer judge certification program. How many you think designated styles are there right now?
Right, because then they're now branching off into specialty beers.
Right. Like you said, sub styles, because you can't just say IPA. There's 12 different kinds of IPAs. I mean, that are very different enough to have their own category for tests, like we've talked about, but also at beer competitions. At the Great American Beer Fest, there's a million different. There's wood aged sour and wild fermented sour and all sorts of stuff. Now you got cold IPAs. So
I found an article on Punch that I'm still not done reading, which is why I haven't shared it to Facebook yet, but I will. But it's talking about the new vocabulary for beer and how whenever, the Cicerone program first got started and everything, of course, they borrowed a bunch of stuff from wine. But, these words, the way they apply to the wine world and the way they apply to beer is different. And then also, like with the update, new IPAs, every year, the word bitter or the word hoppy doesn't mean the same thing it meant like 10 years ago.
That's really interesting.
It's a different flavor profile now.
Because back in the day, hoppy meant bitter because that's where
now
beer
it can mean
gets
juicy.
Its bitterness. Yeah,
now it can mean tropical. Yeah.
But yeah, beer traditionally gets its bitterness from hops and the acids that come in the hops. And now they've figured out different brewing techniques and when to add them in the brewing process that do not add bitterness and instead add crazy fruit flavors. And I mean, yeah, you could really trick somebody who's not super into the beer world. If you hand them a New England IPA, have them sip it and tell them there's no fruit in that beer.
Right.
Like, what?
But it tastes like a mimosa.
Yeah, like orange juice. Yeah, pineapple juice. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of why the whole let's start everybody with lagers and pilsners is my pet peeve.
Yeah.
And whenever I worked at the brewery, I was like, I would always ask people who said, oh, I'm not a beer drinker, what should I drink? I would always ask them, well, what do you like to drink? And it doesn't have to be alcoholic. Do you like coffee? Do you like milk? Do you like tea? Do you like juice? Apple juice, orange juice, grape juice? You know, like I'd go through, ask them a bunch of questions, and then kind of figure out.
Astute. I love it. I would really appreciate that as a customer.
Right.
Not just like, oh, here's the thing we give to everybody who doesn't like beer. Take it.
Exactly.
Know, like figuring out
what their palate is.
Yeah. I almost said it earlier when you brought up when we had our growler bar, trying to figure out what somebody might like. It's a little puzzle. It's a little game to try and help guide them. And that's what we get paid the big bucks for.
Well, and I guarantee there is a style of beer out there for everybody.
I mean, yeah.
There's got to be. There's
proof.
more styles. There's more styles of beers out there than there are people on the planet. And you can quote me on that.
Science.
Yeah, scientific fact.
Scientific fact. Really cool. One of my favorites. I've said it before. I say it again. Barrel-aged stouts. Got willetized in. For those of you that know, you know. We actually got quite a bit of this stuff.
Willet, if you're a whiskey person, you know Willet's a big name in whiskey, and they get Willet barrels now. What was it before? It was High West that they would use for their And now pretty much every year it's willetized, and they have a coffee stout where they do their big imperial stout and add coffee and then put it in whiskey barrels.
Right. So
it's always good. It's one that's more available than some of these that you can't find.
Right.
We usually get a lot of it.
Bourbon County and
I ordered a lot. We've already sold a lot.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. I still haven't tried it this year.
I haven't either.
Crack one open now.
And so what is that crazy gingerbread unicorn thingy-ma-wop?
Thingy-ma-wop. Right here from Pipeworks.
Of course.
Talking about beers with lots of added flavors or adjuncts. It says rye ale with ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla, lactose, which all makes sense, and then black pepper is the weird one in here.
Wow.
Obviously meant to taste like gingerbread cookies. We'll have to crack one of those too at some point.
Yeah, that does sound really good. And these last two you've read have lactose in it. I'm not sure that we've actually gone through
about that.
Lactic sugars
probably not. There's so many nuances that we haven't had time on our little 30-minute show that we've only done 18 episodes of. But you will see that on beers that we talked about pastry beers, pastry sours, and pastry stouts. Because when you make beer, when you make alcohol, part of the fermenting brewing process is sugar is what is converted into alcohol by the yeast that you use. Now, that is almost all sugars. Lactose is one of those sugars, which you'll also see it called milk sugar, that is not affected by the yeast, and it remains unfermented. And so it adds a sweetness. Sometimes we'll even add a little more body to a beer.
Like a creamier mouthfeel.
Creamy mouthfeel, yeah. So you'll see that with stouts with coffee chocolate flavors, or you'll see it in sours that you're trying to get like a pie crusty kind of flavor, typically in conjunction with vanilla. So it's a really interesting, again, there's so much to learn.
Doesn't up the ABV, just ups the sweetness.
And body. Yeah.
Very cool stuff. I mean, the world of beer, I've said it, it's every bit as complex as wine. Maybe even more so now.
Just doesn't
nowadays,
have the high-end fancy history.
Right.
And
but probably predates wine.
Oh, definitely does. Yeah. It was just always, it was the working man's drink.
Right. It's for the common people.
Yeah.
Well, that was back when water quality was so poor.
Right. You'd make beer so you weren't getting poisoned, and make the really low alcohol beer the kids could drink.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy.
But it helped with, turning nomadic people into settlers and hunter-gatherers, because then, you had to have a way to store your grain, and they had to figure that out because they needed grain for beer. And there's all sorts of cool old historical stuff to learn about beer. But yeah, doesn't have the same high-end lineage that wine does because the rich folk drink wine. And
I think it's really neat that different cultures in different parts of the world all develop their own. They all develop their own type of fermented beverage.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's muy importante.
Right. Got to preserve this harvest.
Yeah.
The Lord gave us.
This bounty.
It's definitely the most refreshing of alcoholic beverages on a hot day for my money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the variety pack down there?
The Watteau?
St. Bernardus.
St. Bernardus.
Yeah.
So this is an import.
Belgian.
Yeah.
Enjoy our heavenly nectar.
Little gift pack.
Talk about more cool historical stuff. Belgian monks, when they would fast, that's how the Doppelbock style was invented, is because they needed something to get their protein and kind of nutrients from when they literally weren't eating for their fasting. And so they made this beer that they called liquid bread because it had so much malt in there that it would do the trick, because they needed something a little bit more than water. And so they were drinking beer up in the monasteries.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This one's really got the a wit beer, Prior 8. Do you know what style that is? The Prior 8?
Not a Belgian dark.
Yeah.
Because some of those that you'll see, like we talk about, designated styles by hard lines, is like sometimes other countries don't care as much. Mm-hmm. And it's like this beer might not be named by its style. Mm-hmm. And so it has to be categorized kind of under a bigger umbrella as Belgian dark, Belgian strong pale, instead of having 10 different subcategories like we do.
It's got the triple and the ABT12 and a little glass. So if you have a big Belgian lover in your life and you just want to try out a bunch of different things.
What a nice little gift to open up on Christmas morning.
Gifts. We got a Prairie one with all their vanilla noirs in a cool glass.
Right.
Yeah, we've got 2 Prairie gift sets. One's specifically Christmas bomb, one's vanilla noirs.
Love that vanilla noir.
Love that Prairie beer.
Yep. Little pricey, but it's worth it.
Yeah, they are proud of their stuff. That's their pricing, not us.
Mm-hmm. I dare you to find cheap Prairie somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But some of my favorites, they know their way around a stout.
Oh yeah,
most definitely. So, as touted before, what are you hiding over there, Jake?
What do you got?
This here now?
Yeah, we got a little Easter egg.
Bottle blends, no big deal.
MBD. That's it.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that.
Yeah. We haven't done an Easter egg in a while.
Yeah. And so here's a nice one.
So if you're listening or watching, obviously this will be hiding in the room, our secret room, until these episodes post. But then first come, first serve. Bottle Blantons. Very affordable price.
Oh, yeah.
Nice box. You could wrap it up. Do whatever the hell you want with it.
Crack it open and drink it.
Open it on the way home. I don't care. CC Sips on the Rock. Is that what he said? Care of Sips on the Rock. Yeah. We have to thank our gracious podcast. Even when we're talking about beer, we got some whiskey.
Right. We've got a little bit of everything.
Check out the whiskey lottery too, because if you're not watching that, there's also Easter eggs we're throwing out there. We did one today.
Right. Whiskey lottery is in full swing. Today was day 3.
Rolled right through.
Midway through. Got 3 more to go. Right up until the week of Christmas. So pay attention. Don't snooze. You snooze, you lose. We've also got a huge reset going on downstairs. Mm-hmm. It's been like just maddening to cram this into December. But here we are.
We got to make room for stuff.
Right? I mean, these, particularly the RTDs, y'all are crazy about these ready to drink cocktails. So we're bringing in all we can, but that, entails making room for them. So
it's been a while since we moved around a big section of the store, and we're kind of trying to do that. And again, what better time to make the store look nice and pretty and full than Christmas time, the holidays? So.
Yeah. I think Leah's even doing some rearranging down in the beer cave.
Yeah.
Pulling some RTDs out of there to make room for imports. Is it Mexicans?
I'm gonna put Mexican beers in the beer cave, just so that everything large format is in there, and because we can get 20 packs and stuff like that of like Modelo's. People ask for it, or 24 packs. People ask for it, but where would I put it? Where it currently is now.
Right. Well, and a question we get all the time down there is like, do you have any warm 30 packs or any large format that's warm?
Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh wow, yeah, let's do this.
Educate. Yeah.
So
sometimes
green beer,
that answer is met with angry, nasty looks when people come in asking for warm beer. I want warm beer because. What's the reasoning? Well, I'm not going to serve it right now. I'm going to let it sit, and I'm going to,
sometimes I've got to drive to somewhere.
Right.
So it's just going to be in a temperature controlled vehicle the whole time.
I don't know when, where, or how the myth started.
I don't know.
Well, also people are afraid if they buy cold beer and let it get to room temperature and get it cold again, that it's gone through some insane temperature change that will affect it. Because a long, long time ago, they got thrown a Busch Light that had been out in the sun for 2 weeks and it tasted terrible. So here we go. Here's what I tell people. Beer going from cold to room temp to cold will absolutely not affect it. And I would defy anyone to blind taste test and tell me which one. Now, you don't want to let it get hot. Again, that's the same with like everything that's in the store. You don't want wine to get hot, again, sitting out in the sun or something. So if it goes from cold to room temp to cold, it's fine. Now I want to get it warm now because or I want to get it warm because I don't want it to be cold and then, slowly sweat. Okay. All beer that we get delivered here is cold. Yeah. Everywhere you get beer delivered is cold upon delivery.
So I try to keep it cold.
It has already gone from cold to room temp if you're getting
numerous times I would lay off.
Yeah.
Probably.
So you just didn't see it happen, and it's not going to make a difference if it happened over the course of a day or 2 weeks. It's been warmer longer. So like you're saying, the best thing for beer is to keep it cold the entire time. If you're, driving a road trip or something, or you're going to take it out, the colder it is now, the longer it's going to take to get warmer. So everything I'm met with to answer, it's like I have an answer for what you're worried about, and it's fine.
And you really should just buy the cold beer.
Right. Get the cold beer.
The cold beer.
And we try to keep it cold so that it's good when you buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
And like don't leave it in your vehicle in the summer or something like that.
Exactly. Because that's bad for food. It's bad for, most things that you're going to put into your body.
But it's gonna make it
children, animals.
It's going to make it home, and it's just sitting in your car. It's going to be okay. By the time.
Worry about it sweating and the cardboard getting a little wet. Put a towel under it.
Yeah.
We got bags. We'll put it double wrap the bags for you.
Keep a cooler in your trunk.
Yeah. If you're running some bootlegging or something. But yeah.
So green beer is a myth.
Yeah. Again, unless you got a clear bottle.
Extreme cases.
Sunlight is one of beer's real worst enemies. Light more so than temperature change. Again, unless we're talking extreme hot temperatures. You wouldn't want to cook your beer and then drink it. So room temp, unless you keep it 95 degrees in your house, then maybe you got something to worry about.
Got a lot of things to worry about.
Yeah. But that is a great thing to bring up because we haven't talked about that, and we like to educate. I don't want to make it seem like we're coming down hard on anybody, but I've gotten that question many times over the years, and I try to tell people, I promise you it's going to be fine.
And still people give you that
but
look.
The grocery store keeps it warm. Yeah, it's because they don't have enough room to keep it all cold. They're tricking you.
Right. They're tricking you.
We shoot you straight.
Yeah. It's already been cold and gotten warm, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point.
From the brewery to the distributor.
Yeah, trucking it there.
Yeah,
to here.
Come on.
It's probably gone through a couple temperature changes, and it's fine. You want it fresh is the most important part. The fresher, which is why we love, most craft breweries are putting canned on dates on the bottom. Some are doing Best Buy, but really when you got a canned on date, you can make that decision yourself.
Right.
Hoppy beer, dry hopped IPA, you want it ideally within the first 3 weeks to a month. But some styles that willitize, you can have one a year from now. It's going to be delicious. you could keep it at room temperature for an entire year and it'll still be delicious.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. Freshness is the most important thing, I think.
And keep it out of sunlight.
Right. That's why cans are great too. No light getting in there.
Yep.
Right.
And boy, don't get me started on bottles versus cans and the people who say that they can taste the can.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
I'm like, y'all invite me to that episode too. 'Cause I want to be part of that.
Well, speaking of, thanks for jumping on with us today. I know you had plenty of time to prepare. Literally asked her like 5 minutes before the show. I was like, hey, come upstairs.
I'm supposed to be checking in beer.
Well, before we sign off,
okay,
I had a cocktail I wanted to talk about today. We've talked about doing this and have not done it. So thanks to,
cocktails?
Well, see, not often, but thanks to my father-in-law, Ron, he came up with a new twist on the Colorado Bulldog, which is already a twist on the White Russian.
Okay.
White Russian, Kahlua, or coffee liqueur, vodka, and then milk or cream, however you want to do. Colorado Bulldog adds a little splash of Coca-Cola on that.
Okay.
It seems counterintuitive. It seems weird, but if you haven't had it, it really works.
It's like a
Trust
Coke
me.
float type
right,
thing
Coke
going
float,
on?
yeah. And just a little bit. You're not mixing up half milk, half Coke. But he came up and named it the Colorado Nog Dog. And so instead of milk or creamer, he used eggnog.
So a White Russian with nog and Coke.
Yes.
I mean, I'd try it. But
check it out there. We might have to make one on air before the holidays are over and all the eggnog's gone because, boy, it's so...
I mean, I'd try it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Coca-Cola fan.
I'm not either. Never drink Coke.
Right.
Yeah. My wife loves Diet Coke. She lives on Diet Coke.
Huh.
She was like, we have that. We can try. I was like, no. That's gross. If we're going to do it, there's already 1,000 calories in here. Let's get the real stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Colorado Nog Dog. Shout out, Ron.
We'll give it a try sometime.
We'll give it a try. Yeah.
You make it, I'll try it.
All right. I'll do it.
All right. Look, we have run out of time. We are over time. We're going to get in trouble.
Get me started on beer.
Right.
Got on our soapboxes today.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by to Leah. We appreciate you joining.
Always.
Thank you.
It's always fun talking beer.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining and watching and liking and sharing and commenting and interacting.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff that
and
you
coming to the
should be
store
doing.
and buying things.
Yeah. The most important stuff.
Most importantly, that. Yeah. Definitely. All right. Well, cheers. Keep on sipping.
Remember to subscribe to our podcast, Sips on the Rock, and like us on all the socials to keep up with what's new in the wide world of alcohol. Shop LegacyLR.com for curbside pickup or local delivery. Remember, for better service and better selection, shop local. Please enjoy responsibly. Cheers.